Got a fresh back in my day here. I'm very excited about Stugotz. A way to punctuate a Greg Cote Tuesday.
Yeah.
Also want to get in with some of the Zion Williamson talk that you were trying to get off the ground yesterday when you mentioned that J.J. Redick had gone on First Take and had some opinions because C.J. McCollum, and this is odd, it's an odd story, that C.J. McCollum would be with the Pelicans for a while and say that he had not spoken to Zion Williamson as a franchise centerpiece. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, many of you are criticizing the show from all angles. Kevin McCullough's written in, all Miami fans are frauds. You guys empty out of the arena in Game 6 of the finals. So the greatest shot in your franchise history had about 50 people there to see it. Only reason players agree to play there is because of the weather, and they know the fans don't care, so no pressure.
Is that guy? It's on me, right? The leaving early stuff. I mean, I left early. I'm sorry. I mean, I had a good parking spot. I wanted to get home.
The fans all had to leave because they all had school really early the next morning
Wow.
because they're all little kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why.
Oh, whatever.
You realize, I thought you were apologizing for complaining about the number of kids there because apparently there was a lot of time during a Jewish holiday when kids were off and in town. And
I don't apologize.
You don't.
There are too many kids. I don't care what the reason was. Spring break, Christmas break, summer break. Doesn't matter why the kids were there.
Mm-hmm.
Another tweeter writes in, another segment talking about people not liking LeBron James is a form of disguise for the show doesn't like LeBron James because you're still butthurt he left Miami. El pobre!
You don't get the show.
He's right.
The expression butthurt,
Yeah.
the origins. Is it because you've been spanked? Is the butt being hurt the outside of the butt?
Huh.
Or is it butt hurt more invasively than that? I've heard this expression for many years, and I get the general gist of the expression, but do you know what it means to be butt hurt? Do you have lashes across your butt?
I would think the connotation is a little bit on the vulgar side compared to a spanking.
I thought it was spanking, but is it you?
It originates from spanking. Greg is right. Yeah. I mean, yes, Diane.
Was I right?
But Greg wasn't right. Greg was saying it's more than spanking. Greg was saying that it goes toward penetration on the butt being hurt because it's been evasive. So you said he was right, but that's not what he said.
Well, then he was wrong.
I was going to take credit for being right. You know, I want to play both sides.
No,
You're
know your
playing
meme
both
says
sides.
it's spanking.
What is it saying? Is there...
On Know Your Meme, it says butthurt is an online slang term used to describe strongly negative or over-emotional response. And then it says it descends from spanking, the act of striking the buttocks of another person, seen as a method of punishing a child.
We will get to Greg Cote's back in my day in a second.
So he was right.
Damn right.
No, you're not right. You said it was more than spanking. You said...
Can be. Whatever you need it to be.
A form of spanking.
Yes. A very extreme form of spanking.
Now, this is the part of the Tuesday where neither Stugotz nor Cote are paying attention, and they're both old and tired because Too Tall Jones jokes were about 7 months ago.
That's right.
This is where they start to fall apart. He's wearing a suit. It's uncomfortable. It's tight. It affects his ability to hear.
Plus, I have a quad contusion, and I think I hurt my knee dunking basketballs yesterday. I mean, it's terrible.
You didn't get off the ground with your vertical leap.
What
How
are
did
you
hurt your
talking
knee?
about?
It was like watching a penguin dunk. You waddled across a floor.
Francais.
I don't know what it was like because Billy didn't describe it to me.
Bad at play-by-play, Billy is. We'll get to back in my day in a second, but J.J. Redick on First Take. We were very sad to learn that we can't bring you Mad Dog Russo. He had a vacation day today after.
Ridiculous.
After 1 week.
I was talking to Tony. Do you think that he gets the Disney passes for that? We've been trying to figure out how much he's getting paid for this 1 day a week appearance. You think he gets the Disney passes?
I'm fascinated on how Stephen A. Smith is going to take and put other pieces on the other days because he went Tebow on Friday. Historically, Black College Tuesday now has Chris Russo in it.
Wednesday.
JJ Redick, I'm sorry, yes, did I say it was Tuesday? Historically Black College Tuesday?
Mm-hmm. No, fine, I'll leave it alone.
Thank you. JJ Redick is now on there as well, and JJ Redick somehow, there's some degree of difficulty here, Stugotz. Duke and unliked, not many television options for you where you can become liked. But he found one.
He did.
Yeah, it's one of the JJ Redick. Duke has been a disliked basketball player for a long time, but now be the white guy speaking reasonably across from Stephen A. Smith. Let's see if you don't polish that one up a little bit.
He's never been so popular.
What are they going to do with the other 2 days?
I don't know.
Because Stephen A. Smith is building out his show. He's building out. They went after Skip Bayless. He is now being more public about saying, I wanted Max up out of here. He was not a fresh enough option for me.
So Tebow is a Friday thing during the football season only. He doesn't come on every Friday. Mad Dog's a Wednesday staple, they're saying, year-round.
Michael Irvin is a Monday staple.
Yes, during football, I think. I noticed they're using Jay Williams a lot. They're using Keyshawn a lot. They're using guys like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we're arguing back here if Mad Dog gets the Disney vouchers. I say no. I think he's probably 1099 contract employee. He's just invoicing them for his appearances, so he doesn't get the vouchers. Everyone else says, yeah, he does.
I don't think he's a Disney employee. I think
agree.
that
but if he asks, he'll get him. I mean,
I think he's a freelance mercenary.
Who's he asking? The mouse?
I mean, I don't know. Whoever you ask up there for the passes. Yeah. I mean, I used to ask people, and they would send me passes.
Yeah, but you're
why?
You're a full-time employee of the.
I understand that. I was a full-time employee at ESPN, but if Christopher Mad Dog Russo is sitting across the table from Stephen A. Smith and decides afterwards that he wants to head down to Orlando for a little fun with the family, and he asks someone there, you don't think they're going to get him passes to Disney World?
Yep. I don't know. I couldn't get a microphone working there for 8 years.
Oh.
I don't know. You tell me. I don't know. Maybe he can.
I mean, you're not Mad Dog.
Can you imagine Mad Dog like on one of the rides?
I actually can. Like, I could see him enjoying Disney World. I imagine he wears shorts and a polo.
Yelling the whole time on the ride.
Yeah, with one of those balloons that somehow has the other balloon inside that's shaped like Mickey Mouse's head, but the outside balloon is just clear.
Greg, I'm afraid of you at this point in your day doing the back in my day. You're muffling coughs, your laughter. I feel like you need the asthma inhaler. We're at about the end of what we've got.
Careful with those.
Right.
I do find what JJ Redick, I do find what he said about Zion Williamson to be pretty fascinating. From this standpoint, Zion did not appear happy when he was drafted by that team. He wanted to be in a major market. So he never appeared happy. He played just enough last year. Was that you taking a hit?
That was him taking a hit of the inhaler. Couldn't do it quietly. No, this is.
So unfair to Greg. He doesn't have a button to turn off his microphone.
Thank you.
We have to do it for him.
Thank you very much.
Late in the day. It's 11:19 in the morning. I mean, you okay?
Yeah.
All right, good. Anyway, with Zion, Dan, it seems like he never wanted to be there, but he played just enough last year, 63 games, I believe, and scored 27 points per game, double digits in rebounds, had 4 assists. But that disconnect that he seems to have with that city, with that organization, and with his teammates, to the extent where he doesn't reach out to C.J. McCollum, who was brought there to be his number 2, is insane. And it really makes you question whether or not Zion just doesn't want to be in that city. Playing for that organization.
The other aspect of it that's interesting is where it's coming from. JJ Redick, a former teammate, went to the same university, represented by the same agency.
Played with him,
and yet still is questioning his professionalism in public. That when you go into a team, you have to be committed to that team. And I think Zion, in some ways, is on the brink of being a paradigm breaker because that first rookie contract almost always gets extended. Because you lose so much money if you don't extend on that first contract. Like you are putting yourself at enormous risk of taking the qualifying offer, which I think for him would be like $11 million, when he can sign an extension. And given his injury history, he's incentivized to sign an extension to lock in as much money as possible. But it seems that we're heading towards a place where he's going to play on a 1-year contract for $11 million and be the first big guy to go into free agency after his rookie deal instead of taking that second contract.
But isn't that what the Knicks are doing? Like, hasn't this all been set up? When you talk about the agencies and Worldwide West and what it is the Knicks were doing where they farmed out all this stuff and you've got Redick on First Take, you just gave the resume of reasons he shouldn't be saying that. You didn't even say that he's siding with David Griffin, who he's got no use for.
Correct.
Like he's siding with the general manager of the team. But doesn't this all seem orchestrated to everyone listening to this? They're trading for the Duke guys in New York. Like they're trading for his friends in New York.
I mean, they have Reddish. They drafted R.J. Barrett. But I promise you the Knicks wish this went differently. Like they wish they had John Morant.
No, but the Knicks are now being run by former agency power brokers as the league gets taken control of by these relationships, and the young people who have an ability to distort the paradigm faster than anyone else, because look at Ben Simmons and James Harden. Now Zion's realized, well, wait, what if I want to play in New York? Like, is that not all obvious? Is this not what's obviously happening?
I believe it is. I believe that's exactly what's happening. And I think Zion did just enough to remind everyone, this is what I will be when I'm engaged, when I'm playing for an organization that I want to play for in a city that I want to live in. I will give you 28 points, 13 rebounds, 4 assists.
So here's the example. Stugotz, a week ago, James Harden, I'm okay with him being torn hamstring guy, faking it to get out of there. And you mentioned, well, what if it gets one of these guys to New York? Like, how bad does the behavior have to be? Because Zion's just showing you this is how it's going to be now. I don't care about the hundreds of millions. By the time I get to this contract, I'm barely going to be out of college age anyway.
He has such an injury history, though. Like, he's got a lot. Like, this would be like if Luka Doncic did this, that'd be one thing. He's proven himself. He could tear his ACL tomorrow and get a 5-year, $230 million contract. But someone's going to be paying Zion Williamson when his body could break.
Yes, and so can Joel Embiid's. But isn't what we're watching, and I'm legitimately asking the question because I haven't read the reporting or the speculation, but it's immediately what I thought of when I'm seeing the Knicks are trading to put these guys back together again. And if Zion's unhappy, why wouldn't Zion want to be with his college teammates that represent the year of happiness that he had playing college sports?
The problem is, for a lot of people, is it seems contrived since the day he was drafted by that team. Like, it seems like this is what he wanted. Right?
I guess what I'm asking you, and please forgive my ignorance here, because I have not done the reporting on who the agencies are. I've just seen the way that power is changing in the sport. And I'm asking you, did the Knicks hire the people they hired because of the promise of having Zion in a couple of years? Because they're just doing the Wade, LeBron, Bosch thing through the agency, through creative artist agency, where we can figure out how to nuke New Orleans. I mean, CP3, we already did that once when Stern was running the league. We don't want Zion Williamson playing in New Orleans. It serves everybody better if he's in New York.
Seems likely. Which I've always found weird because Zion is so big, he could be a star anywhere. Like, he could be a massive star in New Orleans. But yes, Leon Rose, who runs the Knicks now, was the agent at CAA, and he's represented by CAA. This would appear to be a CAA orchestration. But again, like,
so was Reddish and so is Barrett. That's Dan's point.
Right. I mean, like,
but it's just being reported by the insiders saying, hey, it's clearly obvious. The Knicks have finally figured out how to get in the game. Just hire the agency, and the agency will get the players, and they'll finally get Zion after years of never getting the free agent.
It's not been reported as such. You actually are the first person I've seen or heard to connect those dots. But like right now, the stage is he's not talking to CJ McCollum. He appears not interested in returning to the Pelicans.
But wouldn't that be how you do it if you were CAA? Hey, Zion, here, you can't make the mess the way Harden made it. You can't make the mess. Let's have it with Redick pointing out on television that this is not the normal behavior for a franchise star, but at the end of the age of empowerment, when Simmons and Harden mutate the structure, well, of course, if Zion's willing to forego the money, what does CAA care? They'll get it back if they put him in New York. They'll get it back in marketing if they put it. Look at those. Those people are still FUing Trae Young at a concert because they had one playoff game that they got to storm into the street. And they want to create and contrive that they matter, that they turn Trae Young, they heckle him at a concert. Bleep Trae Young, a guy who visited the playoffs with jump shots for a year, and now Atlanta recedes back to where it belongs. and they contrived it. Now CAA can just erase the Dolan stuff by putting together the 3 stars, and Zion will dominate New York if he plays like he plays there.
there's no guarantee that will fix everything. It's Cam Reddish, Barrett and Zion Williamson, who's always injured.
Well, no, but fixing everything is just mattering in the entertainment age.
They'll matter if they get Zion, yes. I mean, they'll matter. But I think, Dan, no one reported it, but a lot of people speculated, hey, Worldwide West, Leon Rose, when you hire those guys, yes, they're going to put together a team with people they have relationships with.
I would. I want to get to back in my day, but I would just tell you, Ethan Strauss has written some good stuff on his Substack, and he's pointing out where it is that Silver might have lost some of his shine here, as being the commissioner trying to reach the masses as a progressive who is in with gambling and thinks differently. Those all-star ratings were really bad. Some of the people lost here who don't like their sports feeling this James Harden-y, you're going to lose them. And I don't know, at the crossroads of Zion making New York matter, if it's this dirty, if it's just agencies, like you just hire the agency. Your team will be okay in 3 or 4 years if you just do it through creative artist agency and try to be creative on how it is you get out of New Orleans, because we're running out of options on turning off fans who don't like it so much that at the end LeBron can nuke your entire, even if you're the Lakers, nuke the entire thing and say, I want to go play with Bronny, I'm out of here. And just leave a fire in his wake where the organizations don't matter.
But you know what? LeBron's like 20 years in. He's earned the right. At the end of his career, if he wants to try to tack on a year with his son, which would be really cool, to me, that's awesome. Zion Williamson has done nothing, and he's acting like this.
Except get injured.
Right.
He's also played really well when he's played.
He's the most dominant paint presence for his size and the strongest physical thing in the sport in the paint. And an unprecedented body type, a novelty, and indisputably a star's smile. New York can polish that up. If you keep it healthy, New York will polish that up. If you make New York matter, he'll be a hero.
Of course.
We will forget the New Orleans years so fast if he becomes a star in New York.
I just can't tell you how stunning this is that someone with his injury history would not want that second extension. And also would appear to be, if New Orleans calls his bluff and decides not to trade him after signing the qualifying offer, that they would basically could pressure him into not playing for 2 years in year 4 and 5 of an NBA career.
I feel remorse in not having read and more of the reporting around this, but I would tell you that if you want to absolutely make it so that middle management is where the power resides in a salary cap sport, and they pay you not in dollars, because these guys are all underpaid. They pay in dollars, but they pay you in power. I would ask you to examine people smarter than me who have the sources to report this stuff on what kind of advice he's getting from an agency that benefits from that and a player who does not. Because the agency benefits in the power of being able to deliver Zion at a cut rate, deliver Zion and his broken body at $11 million for 1 year. When you can get 200, I'd ask you to examine whether or not the agency has the best interest of the player there, or is gambling with the player's future and body and money, because the agency is in charge in New York, because Dolan had to get out from under the stink and hired an agency to help him do it, thinking it's more important than a general manager. Stugotz, it's not much different than us saying 10 years ago. We actually had the conversations. If it gets you LeBron, would you be willing to make Mav Carter the coach?
And I said yes. Yep. And I'd say it again right now.
And so maybe nobody cares. Maybe nobody cares that to get Zion, what you have to do is you have to give the agency that represents him all the power to run your organization, because they're promising you that they can deliver a star. And you haven't been able to deliver a star in how many years? Carmelo?
You would think Silver would care. That's who you'd think would care.
But it's a lost cause for him.
What's he going to do?
The power's been given over to the players, and now this is what it looks like.
Right.
And those all-star ratings were bad, Stugotz. Like, maybe all ratings are bad because streaming is changing, but 6 million people. What was the number on TNT?
It was 5.4 million, but they're also doing like an Inside the NBA cast on TBS. So combined, it was like 6.3 million for the All-Star game, which is 6% above the lowest of all time, Roy told me, which was last year.
Yeah, last year was dreadful. But Dan, it's a Sunday night, President's Day weekend. Like a lot of people are traveling.
It's been the same weekend.
Night.
It's been the same weekend, though, for as long as the All-Star game has been.
No, I know. Has it ever rated that well, though? The NBA All-Star game?
Yes,
It has? Okay.
Well, but television viewing habits have changed. All numbers are going to be down. But I think it is fair to say, if you're willing to tie the idea that the NFL did indeed suffer an attendance problem in America divided by something like Colin Kaepernick, if you're willing to say the NFL did, because the numbers went down, Stugotz, if you think those things are tied together, wouldn't they also be tied together in the NBA, where people who are tired of this will walk away from the idea of you can't give the players that much power? It changes it too much for my viewing experience. It makes it uncomfortable to me to have to see the players do what Ben Simmons and James Harden just did. I'm interested in the soap opera aspects of it. I'm interested in it as content, but it doesn't draw me to watching the games.
The transaction, we used to say, was the most exciting part in the NBA. We're saying that's done already? Because I still love the transaction.
I'm not saying it's done. I'm saying I don't know how much the players having power is something that the customer in this sport is going to keep abiding.
You think the customer is cool with all the owners having the money then?
Yes,
is that
always
how we
have
go
been.
back to that?
Yes,
I don't think that that's a fair system either.
But that's
So
always been the accepted system.
Why wouldn't the labor get control over what they want to play? And why would they want to play in an all-star game or a dunk contest where they might get injured when they're making more money off of their contracts? Like, the all-star game's a sideshow. It doesn't actually have any...
Because they're making an entertainment product that they're 50% invested in by virtue of their collective bargaining agreement, and the entertainment product is getting obviously worse, right? The All-Star game is terrible for 3 quarters.
It's a farce.
The dunk contest is terrible. A lot of these games, because of they're not everyone plays every night, and I find it less compelling where the transaction is so far usurped the action. Because, yes, the transaction is more interesting than the action, but it's so far usurped it that, you're not building any connection with any of the teams that are in the playoffs. There is a decline in interest because, it's just moving pieces all the time. There's nothing that you build on year over year with any of these NBA teams.
I love the symbolism and hate the symbolism of the NFL makes sure that all of its players are super disposable, and that's the way to keep it in order to keep getting what you want. Just throw all those players powerlessly into the system. Maybe we'll get a little bit with Brady and Aaron Rodgers acting out. We'll get the soap opera elements, but we'll keep the other 50 guys are totally disposable. Televised product, it's laundry. It doesn't matter. You'll love it the same way. But in basketball, let's give them power and voices and hoodies, and let's make them protest statements, and let's do that. And then all of a sudden, I'm less comfortable with my viewing experience on the weekend being the All-Star game.
I actually think that, if Brooklyn stayed together for 5 years, they could have become the Warrior. If Brooklyn was healthy,
they still might.
Well, yeah, I mean with Simmons, but if Kyrie, Harden, and Durant were together for 5 years and decided we're going to be the Warriors and they're going to dominate the sport, I think they would become compelling over time. It's like James Harden decides to change his mind after 15 months and Brooklyn's an entirely different team again. I don't know what Brooklyn is.
Let's do to end the day. Greg Cote is here, but he's got very little left in the tank.
Tired.
We're going to get the rest of what he's got.
Time to do it,
is your
Dan.
inhaler there? It's usually a bad time to do it. You've been coughing in a way that made me think of the dark question that I would never ask, which is,
what is it?
Would you want us to live broadcast from your funeral?
You know the answer.
That's those rights have already been bought by the Greg Cote Show podcast.
Attaboy. Who's hosting?
That's a good question. And what are they calling it? The name goes with me, baby. Right in the urn with me.
Oh, you're getting cremated.
You never know, Roy.
Sounds like you knew.
Earning it. No, that's an unspoken subject. I don't know. Do all of you talk about whether you're being buried or cremated?
Well,
Yeah.
really?
Never.
Which are you?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say it on the podcast.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a personal question.
It is a personal
Is it?
question.
Lewis, I'm not weird. Stop talking about me. You're not even going to have a microphone.
It's a little weird.
It's weird.
Greg, would you pick out your urn if you were getting cremated beforehand?
I think I might, yeah.
Yeah? What would you go for?
You know what? I want one extreme or the other. I either want plywood or something exceptionally ornate, and I haven't decided yet. That's the yin and yang of my life. I'm a simplistic man, but yet I also love a lavish farewell. I've mentioned the Buffett song. I don't know if you guys can make that happen, but
you want to explain it to the audience that isn't listening to your every word?
Right. I want a live performance by Jimmy Buffett singing the song Lovely Cruise on my last day on the show here. When LeBatard has fired me, but is allowing me to say the retirement is on my own terms. I'd like Buffett in the studio with a guitar, just an acoustic thing, saying, "It's been a lovely cruise."
Okay, I have a counter proposal for you.
Yeah.
If we're somehow able to get Jimmy Buffett to agree to do that, would that then be your final show, just so that it could end the way you wanted it to?
Boy, that's tempting, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want it to happen, to be honest. If I was put in charge of that project, I wouldn't even start the project.
But Dan might have him here next week. I mean,
yeah.
Can we get him today?
Yeah, today.
Time now for Back in My Day.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Flavored beer. You know, a couple of years ago, I did a beer rant focused on the hostile takeover of the industry by craft beers, but I have since come to accept craft beers as at least being true to the beer genre. The word craft just means it has fancy marketing and a price hike, but it is beer. I've also done it back in my day on the rampage of hard seltzer drinks because nobody knows what the hell those are. But this latest trend in alcohol beer-like beverages has pushed me over the top.
People love seltzer.
Nobody knows what it is.
It's also fairly understandable. It's seltzer water with flavor and alcohol.
Yeah, but nobody knows what the alcohol is.
Exactly.
Read the label. Nobody knows what's in it.
Nobody knows.
Some of them are vodka, some of them are sugar.
Yeah, but
nobody knows.
You know, you read the label and nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Billy, nobody knows.
Nobody. I had an idea for you,
Nobody
Greg.
knows.
Craft beer with a K. Cheese beer.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to
flavored
the back
beer.
of my day.
Tell us what.
Folks, it's like I tried to tell you years ago. The scourge of America is excessive variety. We couldn't leave water well enough alone. Now we keep messing with the most American of all libations, beer. I can live with lime-flavored beer. It has traditional roots. The British have been putting a teaspoon of Rose's lime in the beer for forever. But now they've got Blue Moon apricot, Shock Top orange, Purple Haze raspberry, Bud Light Mixerita, strawberry, papaya. There is no flavor off limits as we desecrate the once noble beer, pissing on the ancestors who gave us this nectar. Greg first tasted beer as a boy when my father, Wild Bill Cote, would favor me with a sip when Mom wasn't looking. He'd buy a six-pack of Orbit at Eckerd Pharmacy for 69 cents. Pop-top cans, of course. Back in the days before DUI was a thing, Uncle Buddy would drive up to 1440 from Miami with a six-pack of Pabst Blue Ribbons on ice and a cooler on the front seat when he'd visit because he didn't like Orbit. Those were the days of...
Is that what Zonka meant by you're in orbit?
He might. I thought of that when he was saying it. Those were the days of the all now ghosts of the beer kingdom. Falstaff, Ham, Schaefer, Rheingold, of course Schlitz, and Dad's beloved Dime-a-Can Orbit. Now beer has gone mad. Fruity flavors are no longer enough. Uncle Buddy would be turning over in his urn. Yingling, America's oldest brewery, now has an offshoot with Hershey's on the label. That's right, chocolate beer. Pabst has a variety called hard coffee beer with coffee beans, milk, and a touch of vanilla. You heard right. It's the alcoholic's dream come true. Coffee beer and chocolate beer. Beer from breakfast to dessert. Bartender, hold the foofy craft beers. Hold the fruit flavors, hold the chocolate, and hold the coffee. If you can't find me in Orbit, make mine a Miller's Bleepin' Light. I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was back in my day.
Yeah. And that's why you should only ever drink Miller Lite. Available for delivery.
Thank
Great
you.
taste. 96 calories.
Yeah.
Guillermo,
Perfect.
put it
What a
on the
beer.
poll, please. Is beer the most American of all the libations?